Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Let's start this tutorial by a warm-up as usual. Pause the video, try to recall how to solve this equation in our daily check. Now, let's see what is the difference between an equation and expression. Before we start, let's recall the meaning of expression, which was introduced earlier last week. As we said earlier, an expression involves, an algebraic expression involves variables, operations, and numbers. As you can see here, we have it all here in addition to the equal sign. So what actually differs expressions from the equation is having the equal sign. And of course, you know now that an equation has a right-hand side, which comes to the right of the equal sign, and a left-hand side, which is called the left-hand side, which is to the left of the equal sign. What does it mean to solve an equation? To solve an equation, it means to find the value of this variable. As introduced earlier, we said earlier a variable is used to replace any unknown number. So if we have an equation here, z minus 11 is equal 15, and it's required to solve it, it means to find the value of this variable z. And how to do it? You have to isolate it. So let's rewrite the equation here in a bigger handwriting. Z minus 11 is equal to 15. As we said, we need to solve it. It means we need to isolate the z and get the value of this variable. Of course, you can do it mentally by telling yourself what is the number. When you take 11 from, it will be 15. So you can easily say this number is 26. 26 minus 11 is 15. But sometimes the equations get a little bit more complicated. You might find different integers with different signs, many operations, decimals, sometimes fractions. So you need to find an easier way. What you need to do here to isolate z is to see what's happening with the z. We have minus 11. So it means if I added 11 in this side, negative 11 plus 11, they will both cancel each other. You will get 0. In this case, z will be totally isolated. But as we know, we have to balance the equation, so we cannot just add 11 to the left-hand side. We have to add it also to the right-hand side. And in this case, z is totally isolated. 11 plus 15 is 26. What we used to do commonly is just dragging the 11 to the other side with the opposite side sign. If it's negative 11 here, you just can drag it in the other sign as positive 11, and you remove it from the left-hand side, so z will be 26. So they are all the same, but this is actually the quicker and faster method. Let's see the next one, and again, pause the video and try to answer it on your own. Again, what do we have here? We're still reviewing the one-step equation, and one-step equation means an equation solved by only one operation. As in the previous example, we had negative 11, so we added 11. It's one operation. To undo subtraction, we added 11. Here, what do we have here? We have 2w is equal negative 10. And by the way, this 2 is called the coefficient of the variable w. And we know that the relation between them, it's a multiplication operation. We know that 2w, it means 2 is multiplied by w. So as in the previous one, to undo subtraction, we added. Here, to undo multiplication, of course, you must know you will divide. The inverse operation of multiplication is division. So we can just simply divide here by 2 and divide here by 2. The 2 will be cancelled, and we have w is isolated. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5, so the answer is negative 5. Again, you can just directly drag the 2 on the other side as division, since you know that to undo multiplication, you remove it in the other side, or you drag it to the other side as division, and you will get the same answer, negative 5. The next example here, what do we have? Solve 28 is equal x minus negative 5. It's not always familiar to see the variable on the right hand side, but it could be happening. Yes, sometimes we have an equations with the variable on the right hand side. It's the same, you just have to do the same thing and isolate the variable. Uh, Before we do anything, we have here a rule which we must review together, which is called the double sign rule, the double signs rule. If I have two signs after each other, like those two negatives or two positive, you always have to simplify them into positive. So two same signs, always positive. It's same as the multiplying integers. If we have opposite signs right after each other, we always simplify them into negative. This is called the double sign rule. So negative, negative, positive, positive is positive, while opposite signs like negative, positive, or positive, negative is simplified into negative. The negative always is strongest. So before we do anything here, we have to rewrite this equation by simplifying the double sign. It's 28 equals x negative negative is positive actually. So it's x plus 5. And again, to isolate the x, I have to drag the 5 in the other side with opposite sign. So it's 28 minus 5. And now x is isolated because we removed the 5 to the left-hand side. X is equal 28 minus 5, which is 23. Now the last one in our warm-up, again pause the video, try to answer it, give yourself 30 seconds, and come back to check your answer. This example is similar to writing algebraic expression because, as I said in the beginning of the video, algebraic expressions are similar. Algebraic expressions are similar to equations. The difference is we have an equal sign. So we must have numbers, variables, operations, and an equal sign. Let's see how to write an equation. For a number, let's assume this number anything, like if you have here in the multiple choice, in the choices, the number is n, so I'm going to use n. And this number is decrease. Decrease, as we said earlier, it means it's a subtraction operation. So n is decreased. It means minus. Decreased by what? Decreased by negative 4. So I have to use a bracket or a parenthesis here. So n, which is the number, decreased, subtraction operation. So it's n minus, decreased by negative 4. So it's minus negative 4 is equal to, here is the equal sign, to 15. I wrote my equation. Again, I have double signs here, so I have to simplify it to negative after each other. They will be converted into positive. So instead of n minus negative 4, it's now n plus 4 is equal to 15. Again, I might add negative 4 to both sides, or subtract 4 from both sides, or directly drag this 4 to the right hand side with the opposite sign. So it was plus 4, I took it to the other side, 15 minus 4, which is 11. Now I got the value of the variable, so the answer is B. Okay, let's move on to, let's start our lesson now. Again, we're reviewing the objectives of today's lesson. I keep repeating, all those concepts introduced in the first 2 weeks are introduced earlier in previous years in grade 7 and 8. What we have reviewed now, how to solve single-step equations. As I said in the beginning of the video, a single-step or one-step equation means it requires one operation to isolate the variable and get the value and solve the equation. Today we're reviewing equations involving more than one operation. So it's not only a one-step equation. You might do or use two operations or more to solve the equation. This is today's objective. Okay, we have the first example here. 2 2q plus 11 is equal 3. As you can see, the variable here has a coefficient. As we said earlier, the number multiplied by the variable is called a coefficient 2. So we have a multiplication operation and plus 11, which is an addition operation. I always remind my students, when we have a multi-step equation, multiplication and addition, always remember, if you have a shopping bag in your hand and you have a backpack on your shoulder, which one to get rid of first? Are you going to take off the backpack or the shopping bag in your hands? Of course, it's easier to start by putting the shopping bag and then take off the backpack. So it's the same here. We have 2, which is attached to the variable. This is your backpack. And you have plus 11, which is the shopping bag in your hands. So remove or put the shopping bag first and then take off the backpack. It means you always have to start with addition and subtraction in solving equations. Actually, it's the inverse of order of operation. In order of operation, we start by multiplication and division comes first before the addition and subtraction. Here in equations, we start with addition and subtraction first. So I'm going now, I have the 2q, it's all attached together. I'm going to get rid of the 11 first. How am I going to get rid of the 11 first? I'm going to drag it to the other side with the opposite sign. So I have 2q is equal to 3 minus 11, which is negative 8 exactly. And now I have to get rid of the 2. The 2 is multiplied by the q. To get rid of it, you can either divide both sides by 2 or directly divide the right hand side by 2 to take it to the other side. And in this case, q will be totally isolated. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. And here is the solution of this equation. So remember, when you have both multiplication and addition in the same operation, you start by undoing or using the inverse of addition, which is subtraction first, and then the division to get rid of the multiplication. Here is another case. K plus 9 over 12 is equal negative 2. First of all, you have to know that this over, which is a division, it's like a grouping symbol. So we have the whole k plus 9 over 12. It's all divided by 12. We have many ways to solve such an equation. The one which I always prefer is the cross multiplication. We can rewrite it as k plus 9 over 12 equals to negative 2 over 1. All the numbers has a denominator equals to 1. And now you made both of them in form of ratios or in the form of fractions. We have k plus 9 over 12 equals to negative 2 over 1. So this is the most or the easiest way to solve such an equation. If we have one side written in form of a fraction or a ratio, you can make both of them. And any number, any integer has a denominator equals to 1. What will be the next step? The next step, always the cross product or the cross multiplication. You're going to use cross multiplication. So 1 times k plus 9 keeps k plus 9 as it is, because 1 will be multiplied by k plus 9, anything multiplied by 1 as it is. And then you have negative 2 times 12, which is negative 24. So now we have a simple equation, one-step equation actually. After rewriting the k plus 9 over 12 equals negative 2 over 1, we made both of them in form of ratios, in form of fractions. We used cross multiplication or cross product. We multiplied two opposite numbers together, and we have this simple equation now. How to solve it? We drag the 9 in the other side with opposite signs. So k will be negative 24 minus 9. Negative 24 minus 9 is negative 33. And here comes the value of k. Now it's your turn. To answer the guided practice example, give yourself like 20 or 30 seconds and come back and answer the question and see if your answer is correct. Okay, what do we have here? Again, a multi-step equation. 6v plus 7 is equal negative 5. Again, we always get rid of the shopping bag first, and then we take off the backpack. So I'm going to get rid of the 7 by dragging it to the other side. It was 6v plus 7. I drag the 7 on the right-hand side with the opposite sign. So I have 6v is totally isolated. Negative 5 minus 7 is negative 12. Now I have to get rid of the 6 so I can divide both sides by 6. So v will be isolated. Negative 12 divided by 6 is negative 2. Here comes the correct answer. Hopefully your answer is correct. Let's move on. Again, we have here many of what we reviewed in the first two examples. We have the double sign rule. We have a fraction form. So we can start by rewriting it as a fraction. We can simplify this minus negative, the two signs together, into positive. So it's actually negative 4 plus 4. Now it's negative 4 plus 4 over negative 6 is equal to 12 over 1. Use the cross product. So I don't have a space here, so I have to erase it again. So now, after simplifying it, it's no longer negative 4j minus it's plus 4 over negative 6. And this 12 is written over 1. I made both of them in form of ratios. Now I'm going to use cross product or cross multiplication. 1 times negative 4j plus 4j keeps this side as it is. 1 times negative 4j plus 4 as it is equal to negative 6 times 12. Negative 6 times 12 times 12 is negative 72. Now I have to get rid of the 4, drag it to the other side as negative 4. So it's negative 4j equals negative 76. The last step here, I will divide both sides by negative 4 or directly divide here by negative 4 to get rid of this negative 4. So j will be negative 76 divided by negative 4. Using long division, you will find it's equal to 19. Here is the answer. Again, writing an equation, a real-life application of using a multi-step equation in real life. Susan has a $10 coupon for the purchase of any item. She bought a coat that was half its original price after using the coupon. This coupon, it means it reduces the original price. It's like a discount. So it's a minus 10. You have to know this for sure. So we have an original price, which we can assume the original price. We can use any variable to express the original price, like P. So she bought a coat that was half its original price, and she used this coupon which reduces the money $10. Susan paid $125. After doing all this, she paid only $125. What was the original price? So P here is required, the original price. So she paid half the original price, which is half P, and she used this coupon which made a reduction of $10, and then she paid only $125. This is the equation we can write. Half the original price, if the original price is P, so half the original is half P. This coupon reduced, made a discount with $10, so it's minus $10 to be in all $125. This is the equation, can be written because half of the question here is asking you to write the equation for the problem. Sometimes we have intelligent students who can answer such an equation or such a question mentally, but it's required. Half the problem here is to write an equation, so you have the credit will be for writing the equation and then solving it, which means getting the value of P. So this is how we wrote the equation. Half the original price is half P, the coupon, which is minus $10 to be in all 125. Now I'm going to solve it by dragging this negative 10 to the other side with the opposite sign. So it's 125 plus 10. So half P is 135. Now, a very important rule to get rid of any fraction multiplied by the variable in solving equations. If we have any fraction multiplied by the variable, the easiest and the fastest way is to multiply both sides by the inverse of the reciprocal, or the reciprocal of this fraction. This fraction is half, its reciprocal is 2 over 1. So you might multiply both sides by 2 over 1, which is 2 actually. So it will be cancelled together, and P will be isolated. 135 times 2 is 270. That's it for today. Let's, until we meet again in next example, in next tutorial, inshallah.